Ready for some tough love? Not too tough. But if you've been thinking about homeschooling, you need to listen up. It is a big responsibility to homeschool. And you probably already thought about what a big responsibility that having children is, right? Before you gave birth and brought these children into your home. So you know. The Bible says, "These commandments that I give to you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up." How can you do that when they're at school all day? Someone else will be talking to them all day about the ideas that they deem important. And if you're seeing things right now that you really don't want to see in your children, act now, especially if they're willing to be homeschooled. Because I'll tell you, that window of opportunity, it doesn't last. Do it now if you can figure out a way. And I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to me. Sometimes I get so much information in my head that I have to step back and pray and really think about what's important. There's an ancient proverb that says, "Man without vision shall perish." And so think about, what is your vision for your children? What is your vision for your family? And is what you're doing going to get you there? If you want to see grandchildren, take the time to walk beside your children and love on them and listen to them. Because if you don't, there's going to be somebody else that will listen to them. And then they're more likely to take on their ideas. And honestly, not that school has legs and walks and talks, but the ideas do. And I think about, if you don't want your children to get those ideas, like, honestly, a lot of kids come out of school, not always, parents can have some input on this, but a lot of times kids come out of school and they no longer want to have children, or they question their identity, or they're willing to fight for different ideals than what you have. And you lose that sense of communication. Honestly, it can happen in the best of families. So we, as parents, we have to stay humble, keep listening. When they're talking, get into their world. Don't think about what you can correct or how the world is different than what their world is. Try to get into their world and really understand what they're saying. Being willing to apologize when you're wrong and being able to keep your mouth shut and just pray can go a long way. And if you're afraid you don't know enough to teach, I just want to give you this quote from Khalil Gibran, from the prophet. He said, "The teacher who walks in the shadow of the temple among his followers gives not of his wisdom, rather of his faith and loving kindness." So I really think that that's the most important thing that we give our children, is the keeping the love for learning, giving them faith, or your faith, and loving kindness, showing them loving kindness, listening. Those are the most important things that a teacher walking beside their kids can give them. Of course you want your kids to have loving kindness, and of course you want them to have faith. And if you feel like you don't have the faith and loving kindness to give them yet, hit your knees. Pray, because God will help you. He is faithful. Yesterday, Dan Koe, K-O-E, if you want to look him up, it's really good. He had a great article on flexible thinking. And he said there's 5 levels that you can get to. And levels 1 and 2 are overly dogmatic. They're like, I'm right, you're wrong. And you don't want somebody to stay in that place. But a lot of times you find that if you start to think outside of the box that you believe is true, people get emotional. And if you can learn to push past that emotional tension, you can get to the next levels of thinking. When you can entertain that somebody else's idea might have validity, it helps. And I think there were generations in the past where they didn't tend to listen to anybody else's ideas. Whether this prompts you to bring your kids home or not, just take that time to listen. You know, a mom's job is so rewarding. It's like the most challenging and the most rewarding thing you can do in your life. We may not be perfect, but God's design is.